Good morning. So it's Sunday and I'm up. Could barely sleep last night for some reason. I don't know, I always have trouble the last week going into a show. It seems that my body's physically tired, but my brain is just like 1,000 miles an hour. So I didn't sleep much. Well, hopefully it doesn't affect me too much while I'm at work today. But I'm up early. I just had a cup of coffee, and I'm headed to have like a little gym in my building, and they have a Stairmaster, which is great. One of the reasons why I rented in this building is like, let me see the gym. Oh, you have a Stairmaster? Oh, okay, that's a huge plus. So they have a Stairmaster, and I use it. I probably use it the most out of anybody here, easily. So I'm going over there now. It's 30 minutes, low intensity. Low intensity is different for everybody, their definition of it. I mean, I still work, but I'm not doing like intervals or anything like that. I'm not trying to kill myself. I just want to get some blood moving, break a sweat, watch some YouTube vids, some Jose Raymond videos. Check out his YouTube page. It's very, very interesting. I love it. And some RX Muscle stuff with Dave. It's always very entertaining. And some Geared Up. Geared Up, our podcast is always good to kill some time. So with that being said, today is a 0 carb day. Something I'm very familiar with. So it's not anything out of the ordinary for me. And that's about it. Other than that, the diet is pretty straightforward today. 6 meals, no carbs, and water is high at 2+ gallons. I'm pissing every 20 freaking minutes. And I go train today with Carlos after work. So Carlos is going to take me through a depletion workout. If I'm not mistaken, we're doing chest today, a chest depletion workout. And then tomorrow we're going to continue and do a back. And then the following day is going to be shoulders. And then proceed, like the last 2 days going into the show, it's going to be a push and a pull day. Just to continue to move calories. And, as like carbing up, I really do believe that you shouldn't just sit around. You didn't sit around during your whole prep and just eat and carb up. So I think it's very important that when you do carb up, you're still active and you're moving those carbs where they need to go. So even if you have to go to the gym and do, 20-minute pump workout just to push, or if you bring bands to your hotel room and between meals you just get a quick pump, it's always important. So let me knock this shit out. All right, guys. So after cardio, what I do is I weigh myself and I send some progress pictures to my coach. That seems like it's been the trend that I do every, as the show gets closer, I do it more frequently. Right now it's every day. See where we're at. After the photos and us analyzing the photos, it seems like the fat load wasn't enough. And when you know something is not enough, like that, is that next day you dropped weight again. So even after all of the whole eggs and bacon and all that deliciousness, I still dropped another pound this morning. So I'm at 165, but you could see that I'm considerably tighter this morning, noticeably tighter this morning versus yesterday. Still a little bit flat, and that's understandable because I'm not eating carbohydrates. So it's likely that I'm not going to be super full and super hard, but lean and round definitely can be accomplished with just a proper fat load. So what we're going to do is we're going to change things up, and that's what makes a good coach and a good client relationship work, because you can write everything on paper and say
this is what you're doing and that's it. But you really need to just have a guideline and then be able to make adjustments on the fly according to what you see, and make a judgment call with reason. Now, something unreasonable would be like, wow, I dropped the pound, so maybe I could add some carbs today. No, that wasn't even remotely close to the plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 0 today, which we were going to do. It's going to probably burn through the rest of those calories that I had yesterday from the added fats. I'll probably wake up tomorrow either at the same weight, 175, or lower. I don't see myself going higher than that. And if it is, maybe I drank more water, but I highly doubt that I'll be over 175 tomorrow. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to add a steak meal to my plan. So I already have, on my 0 days, I have 1 steak meal already, and that would be my extra fats for the day, either through like a filet mignon or New York strip or whatever steak that's on the leaner side. Like, I'm not gonna make a porterhouse, which is delicious, by the way. I'm not gonna do a ribeye, which is delicious. But I'm going to find something on the leaner side, like a strip steak, a filet, something like that. Now, we're going to add another steak meal to my already 1 steak meal. So we're going to have 2 steak meals for the day. Probably going to do it meal 2 like always, and then before bed, so I could hold some of that before I go to sleep. And that's pretty much the plan as of right now. Just a small, tiny adjustment, and that's just so that I don't get too far depleted. Because I do believe that if you push your body past depletion, it's going to be extremely difficult for your body to fill out. And as you guys would know, that I'm going to be using aldactone. And aldactone, as I mentioned in my previous video, it makes it more difficult for your body to reabsorb sodium and then thus fill out. So I can't allow my body before aldactone to get super, super depleted, because it's going to be very, very difficult for me to rebound back unless I do like some crazy junk load or something, which that's a huge risk, and that would never happen. But you just kind of have to play it on the safe side. So what we're going to do is add the second steak meal, try to keep me, try to keep me well maintained with that, and see where my weight goes, and just kind of, play it by ear there. So I just wanted to give you guys an update with that. All right, so overnight I had some Crock Pot Steak going on, and I get so many questions when I post about my Crock Pot recipe. Man, that crust is like perfect. So I put my steak in the Crock Pot just because it makes things a lot easier, cleanup time, and plus I don't want to be there's a lot of smoke in my apartment when I cook steak. So I try to just do it in the Crock Pot, and it makes like very tender, very, very tender pieces. I marinate it with dry seasoning in here, and I also use a liquid mojo in there. No water. I use no water. The liner is, again, for quick and easy cleanup, and I just set it on low overnight. So if I get home at like 10 o'clock, I put it in there. And then when I wake up in the morning, it's done. I don't actually put a timer on it. So this is my Crock Pot shredded steak. Crazy day at the shop today. Very busy, but hey, I'm making money. But dealing with customers sometimes when you're this close to a show and your patience is like very difficult. But I do get to eat right now. What I got going on is my 6 ounces of steak. This is a New York, it's either New York strip or sirloin, top sirloin. It's top sirloin. Crock Pot top sirloin, delicious. And then I put I put soy sauce and also some hot sauce. The reason why I use soy sauce is so that I can get as much sodium as possible. I keep my sodium as high as possible throughout my entire prep, especially since I don't eat a lot of carbs to begin with. The sodium keeps me nice and full and plump. So don't neglect your sodium. With sodium, you also need to drink plenty of water. And I try to at least get 2 gallons of water, and my famous, my delicious cauliflower rice to go with it. So this is a delicious meal. This is meal 2 for my 0 carb day. Meal 3 going down the hatch right now. Just the usual, a little cauliflower rice and my swai. So what I do with the swai, I buy the frozen swai, and if I have the time, there is a fish market right by my house where I get fresh swai. And swai is kind of like catfish, but I think it has almost the same fat content as tilapia, but it's so much better in my opinion than tilapia. It tastes so much better. So what I'll do is I'll put them on a baking sheet pan. But the key is, after you put your dry seasoning, the key is you put the oven on broil, not bake. Bake makes it kind of mushy and stuff like that, and that goes for almost all fish that I've baked in the past. Broil, you put on broil, you let it get nice and crispy on the sides, on the edges, and it stays intact. So when you put it in the Tupperware, you don't get that slime, which I'm sure you guys have seen before. When you cook a bunch of fish and you put it in a Tupperware, you get this slimy stuff in the bottom. You broil it, let it get a little charred, and you'll see that you will be successful and it'll taste amazing. Great successes. Borat. That's from The Office. Anyways, the day went well at work today. It was very busy again, which is it's a good thing. Now I'm headed to Flex Appeal. Carlos is going to meet me there, and we're going to do a chest depletion workout that he's going to put me through, and probably some biceps in there. Yeah, probably throw some biceps in there too. Sundays Flex Appeal isn't usually open, but Carlos is nice enough to pop in with me and help me finish off this last week. He's also doing the Arnold as well in the amateur portion, and he's been dieting. He looks crazy. I can't believe how he gets into shape so quickly. It's amazing how everybody's body's so different, and things respond this time and don't respond the other time. It's pretty amazing. But I'm a little tired today. The 0 carbs is, it's kicking my booty right now. Tomorrow, at least, I could look forward to 2 nice pieces of filet mignons. So I'm very, very excited about that. Anyways, so let's get to it. Here at Flex Appeal, only one here, waiting for Carlos. But I wanted to take this time to address a question that I get quite a few times, probably a day. And it's very hard to talk about this subject through typing. And I think it's much better if I just kind of address it on video. And the question is, what kind of advice would you give beginner or people or even kids, young men that are trying to break out into bodybuilding and maybe follow a career like mine? Or what kind of do's or don'ts? What would you take back? If you can go back, what would you take back now that you know more about bodybuilding? I think that this question is very important, and I think that a lot of people on the internet and stuff get the wrong impression about different bodybuilders and how extreme this sport is and how important it is to take your time. So to answer the question straight out is,
mean, the topic has to do with drugs. If I can go back into my former self, knowing what I know now, I probably would have waited much longer before kind of experimenting with performance enhancers. I think that it's very taboo that, you know, talking about performance enhancers in bodybuilding, because, I mean, let's get real at this level. I mean, if you don't know that everybody's doing it at this level, you need a wake-up call. Some much more and much more extreme than others, and that has to do with, you know, genetics and all these other things that are involved with it. But pretty much everybody's taking usually right around the same kind of stuff, and, you know. But with that being said, is I'd probably take my time. I probably would have tapped in and topped out my genetic potential before having to even experiment with anything like that. Unfortunately, I didn't have a mentor when I first started bodybuilding as a teenager, and I did teenage nationals. I didn't have a mentor to tell me these things. I didn't have the internet didn't have a lot of information. Talking about this stuff was kind of hush hush still, even at that time. And now it's a much more open topic to talk about these things and to really just kind of wake up to the reality of how extreme this sport really is. So again, just to answer that question, is I would have waited much longer. I would have learned how to train properly, and I would have made sure that my diet was 100%. These are all fundamentals. The way that I explain it, my shoulder's getting tired. The way that I explain it to people, and again, especially young guys that come up to me and they know that I competed as a teenager, is bodybuilding is a triangle, okay? It's a triangle. The three parts of the triangle are gonna be nutrition, diet, and drugs. Those are the 3 points of the triangle, okay? Without diet, okay, your training is gonna suffer and the drugs are gonna suffer. You're not gonna get to that, you know, you're not gonna reap the benefits if that's not on point. And we go now to training. Training is your training on point. If you take training out of the equation, you know, then the food that you're eating is useless, and the drugs that you're taking is useless. And we get to the last point, drugs. Drugs is kind of on by itself, because you could get by with just training and diet. You don't need drugs to be in that triangle. But if you're gonna take drugs later on and performance enhancing later on, you have to make sure that both of those other 2 fundamentals are 100%, because without those 2, drugs would mean nothing. But the other 2 by themselves hold a lot of weight without it. So if you try to understand what I'm trying to say, is that it's not as important when you're starting. When you're at the highest level, yes, it plays a factor. But when you're starting out, you need to get those 2 fundamentals perfectly before you even think about trying to take this or take that and all this crazy stuff that I hear. It's absolutely wild nowadays, the things that I hear. And I'm like, I've never taken that much before, and you don't even look half of what I am. And it's wild. It's wild to hear these things. And I get constantly messages from, like, you know, 18-year-old kids and 20-year-old kids that you know, they want to take stuff, and me to give them advice. I'm like, my best advice to you is to not take it. And I promise you that there's gonna be the majority of the top bodybuilders that had started as teenagers would all agree with me in this topic. So that would be my piece of advice for guys that want and that are trying to break out in this. Top out your genetic potential before getting into anything extracurricular. Trust me. Oh, nasty pump today. Little biceps, can't even, oh, there they are. It was a very good training session, fueled by a lot of drama and aggression, which is a good thing. When you're so close to a show, if you find something that fuels you, use it to your advantage. So I'm going to head home now. As you guys, in the last episode, like I said, it's about a 40-minute drive from where I'm at Flex Appeal to my place. I'm going to go stop at Publix, which is a grocery store, first to get some essentials that I need. I want to get some more filet mignon for tomorrow. You know, I make a lot of steak in the crock pot, but when I get a filet mignon, I want that fresh. I want that to be nice and grilled like yesterday. So I'm going to get some filet mignon. I'm going to get probably some more cucumbers because I'm running through cucumbers like nothing. Some cucumbers and some cauliflower rice. And that's about it. So let's see what we could find in Publix. Grocery shopping. All the goodies. By the way, right now I'm chewing the caffeine gum that I put up the other day. I forgot the name of the caffeine gum, but I'll put it up on my social. It actually is pretty fucking delicious. Alright, we need to get some fish and some meat. Some jumbo shrimps. Beautiful. Beautiful fillets. My usual cauliflower rice. Since you guys asked so much what I use in the crock pot with my steak or my meats, this is what I use. Even my chicken, mojo. I dump it in there, no water. Dump that in there, dry seasoning with it, and that's perfect. Made it home, put everything away, and no pun intended on put everything away. No. Anyways, very excited to try. Boom. This flavor. Little mint chocolate chip. I never was a mint chocolate person until I met Janice. She got me really into mint chocolate type things. And I really want to try this this protein powder. As you guys saw my last video, I still drink protein powder, you know, week out of the show. I've been doing it the entire prep, so not really need to change. I think that maybe the last 2 days while I'm already in Columbus, I'm not going to have access to a blender, so I'll be eating just all, you know, real food. But right now, I mean, calories are calories right now, and especially if it's coming from a good source like this. My cat's going absolutely nuts right now. Storm. Oh. So I'm gonna blend this up, and again, I use xanthan gum in this. Fill up the cup all the way. See how much ice there is? It becomes this like almost like ice cream. So hopefully it does taste like ice cream, since this is a mint chocolate chip sundae. And let's see how this tastes. Oh, sheet there. Consistency we're looking for. Oh yeah. Now to try. You definitely taste the mint in it. It benefited from the 4 packets of Splenda that I put in this. It enhances the chocolate chip and it wouldn't be sweet enough. You won't be able to catch that chocolate unless you had those Splendas in there. Definitely a good flavor. I mean, especially if you're a mint chocolate chip fan, this is like right up your alley. Definitely a good one. You see, I watch a lot of the Food Network and Guy Fieri, so this is how he reviews food. It's money. This is money. I've never been disappointed with any of the flavors that Muscle Tech has brought out, honestly. Still to this day, my favorite, they discontinued it, was this vanilla ice cream that was part of their 100% ISO line that they discontinued. It tasted like melted vanilla ice cream, like legit vanilla ice cream. It was quite impressive. And it was vanilla cake. It tasted like vanilla pound cake. Yeah. This will do for now. Final meal of the night. We've got some shrimp, some veggies, and a big old bowl of shredded lettuce. That's the lettuce that I like. It's almost like a taco lettuce, shredded lettuce, and then I'll hit it with salt and pepper, and some of the French's honey mustard, which only has 1 gram of carb in it. So this is my last meal. What I try to do is fill up as much as possible. So I use the whole bag of lettuce, and that'll make me pee during the night. There's a lot of water in this. And if I get a sweet tooth after this, then I'll do my usual cucumbers. So that's it for tonight. I'm going to try to get some sleep because I didn't sleep very well last night. Wake up in the morning and do my cardio and do the same thing all over again. Yay! No, I'm very excited that it's getting closer and closer. It's actually becoming a reality now. So, good night. See you tomorrow.